Hi, Jen.
Hi, Mommy.
Why don't you look happy? You're
no
almost...
matter what day it is, it doesn't matter. I can't get my shit together.
Well, your parents ought to be spanked for not making you a more diligent person.
Yeah. Diligent, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we have an interesting show today. This show promises to be a real cluster, you know what? So you'll never know what's going to happen.
Okay,
Jen,
I'm looking forward to knowing what you have in store, because I have no idea.
Tell everybody what you were doing today.
Moving and working like this as I'm moving. And I told everyone I'm moving.
Clients need to be serviced. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. I had a meltdown yesterday, cried at Lederman's office. Started crying.
That's my life.
This move was way too much for me. All for a patio.
All for a patio. Well, Jen moved. I'm in, as you can see, I have a different background. I'm in South Carolina. And Jen has no internet, and I have
high ceilings.
Yeah, high ceilings, beautiful high ceilings.
And
I have a different computer, different setup, so it might be a little while before we could get to all your comments, but that's okay. And I decided I am drinking heavily for this show.
Heavily.
So, but yeah, this is going to be fun, trying to get these comments and everything. But Jen, you know what time it is?
What time?
It's for the right stuff. Oh, it is time for the right stuff, but
And I went on to Facebook on my computer, and I'm like, well, because there's no internet.
There's no internet.
On that computer. I have internet, but I don't know what a Wi-Fi adapter is, so...
So if anybody knows what a Wi-Fi, Jen is getting the signal, Wi-Fi adapter disabled. If there's any techie geeks,
how do you enable it? Where is it?
Where does she enable her Wi-Fi adapter? So Jen, I've been driving and traveling and taking care of the parents. And Mom, if you're on, before you have any commentary about my lip, I do not have monkey pox. I burnt my lip making gravy, Sunday gravy, the other day, and I tasted it and I burnt my lip. I didn't realize how hot it was. And yes, I put aloe on it, but that's why my lipstick is crooked. Every week, my mother tells me my lipstick is crooked. Jen is obviously doing her thing. It's been a crazy week. And last week we weren't here because Jen, tell everybody why we weren't here.
I'm like, wait, why? Did someone else die? No.
God forbid.
Because my son got his senior ring, and it was his ceremony at Severian. So we went to go celebrate.
Yes, we did. So, and it was fantastic. And his grandfather gave him his ring. No, I don't have any pictures, but if you're on my Facebook page,
we have videos.
But the week was packed. We have 12 clips. We have a lot of clips. So let's get to it. Let's talk about BLM founder Patrisse Cullors is in the news again, this time for using donations to pay her baby daddy and her family for luxury items. So all those donations that all those libs gave to BLM went to enrich Miss
And
Cullors.
I think she's paying her brother $800,000 for marketing, media, social media.
I went searching through the internet, and there are crazy people just like us that think that they could have a talk show. His name is Anthony Logan, and this is what he had to say about Ms. Cullors and BLM.
Everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about some tax filings that have exposed a lot more about Black Lives Matter. Now, I've been covering them extensively ever since years ago when they first started. I think probably like 2014, 2015, when they were engaged in all the riots and whatnot during the Donald Trump election cycle. Then again, when they came back in 2020 for that election cycle, and every time in between. Let's jump straight into the article. This is on dailymail.co.uk, and the link will be in the description. But you see the headline right before you. Revealed, BLM founder Patrisse Cullors, of course, the usual suspect, the main one, always in the headlines, always in the videos, dancing. Anyway, BLM founder Patrisse Cullors paid her baby father, yes, $970,000 for quote-unquote creative services, her brother $840,000 for security, a fellow director $2.1 million, and reimbursed the organization $73,000 for a charter flight. So one flight, $73,000. Where are you going? You couldn't just get on Southwest, Spirit, Delta, American, United, Frontier. I mean, you got to get a charter flight. Where are you really going?
He's worse than us.
No,
there's only one of him being.
There's only one. Listen, I love that she paid her baby father for creative services. Creative services.
Well, he helped create her child.
There you go, creative services. But I love Logan, and I look at his videos. He's great. I love that he gives all the back info. He gives the bibliography for every clip he plays.
But was I mistaken, or is Honeywell sponsoring his show? He had an ad on there. We don't have any.
No, that was the ad was on the newspaper that he.
Oh, I thought it was a beeper because I'm on my phone. I had to look close.
And I love that he went through every airline. So that's where your money went if you gave to BLM. Guess who's here? The OG of Right Stuff, Lucille Chavon.
Lucille, the pool's open Friday.
Yeah, she found us on a Tuesday. I mean, not only did Jen move, but we also moved, and Lucille found us on a Tuesday night. So thanks for coming to join us, Lucille. Love to have you. Love to have you all. Put your comments in the comment section. I'll do my best to navigate with my mouse pad, and we'll have you up on there.
If I can find my Wi-Fi adapter.
somebody, please, anybody, help Jennifer able her Wi-Fi adapter.
Enable.
Now you're going to give me grammar instructions.
Oh, wait. Wi-Fi. It's gonna work.
She might sign in normal.
Well, I gotta find my damn I found it.
There you go. Look at that. You must.
Wait, I gotta go get the code. Keep talking. Oh no, hold on.
You must be a Republican because we know the libs. And you must not be a millennial because they would have given up right at the beginning. But while Colors is making it rain for friends and family, Janet Yellen testified that abortion is good for the economy. Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it right. Abortion is good for the economy. Let's hear our economic czar talk about Roe v. Wade.
Well, I believe that eliminating the right of women to make decisions about when and whether to have children would have very damaging effects on the economy and would set women back decades. Roe v. Wade and access to reproductive health care, including abortion, helped lead to increased labor force participation. It enabled many women to finish school. That increased their earning potential. It allowed women to plan and balance their families and careers. And research also shows that it had a favorable impact on the well-being and earnings of children.
To make it sound like it's just another 0.4% added to our labor force participation as a result of the issue of abortion, just to me seems harsh.
In many cases, abortions are of teenage women, particularly low income and often Black, who aren't in a position to be able to care for children, have unexpected pregnancies, and it deprives them of the ability often to continue their education, to later participate in the workforce. So there is a spillover into labor force participation, but and it means that children will grow up in poverty and do worse themselves.
I have no idea what she said, but I will in 2 seconds.
She said, basically she's saying that if we don't encourage abortions amongst young Black teenagers, we're going to have more poverty. I'm sorry. Am I wrong? But I mean, I know I've been out of school a long time, but when I was in school, they had condoms. Oh, here comes Jen. She's coming on in her. Oh, and now Jen, I see nothing there. There's no camera. Did you put your camera on, Jen?
Hold on.
Oh, here she comes. Here she comes. All right. There she is. Well, when I was in school, they had free condoms. They had information about birth control. We were mandatory to take sex education classes. That was when the dinosaurs were walking. Now we have the day after pill. We have about 1 billion ways to make sure that you don't get pregnant. So how about instead of making abortion the tool for unwanted pregnancies, how about safe sex? How about, utilizing everything that our tax dollars are paying for free?
Because nobody wants to even get to work. Do you think they actually want to put a condom on? It's called laziness. They're lazy. They don't care. Nobody cares anymore.
So they're too lazy to use a condom.
Yes.
Well, listen, I have always been somebody who said that decision is between a woman and her maker, and that she's going to have to face the judgment in the end. But, anything after 15 weeks, I mean, the whole thing is infanticide. And I guess as I'm getting older, I'm starting to wonder, why is it that we live in a society where puppies have more rights than unborn children? And our next clip, and I was glad I found this, you may have heard that San Francisco's Archbishop Salvatore Cordileone sent a letter out denying House Speaker Nancy Pelosi the right to communion due to her recent move to codify abortion into law. Well, Gloria Purvis, host of America, the Jesuit Review, interviewed the Archbishop. Listen to his explanation of why he made the move now, why he actually sent out the letter now. And I encourage everybody, it's about a half-hour interview. You should find it on YouTube and you should watch it. And here is the interview, just clips.
From any other issue, like things like the death penalty, which people may wonder why not, do something that's on the death penalty or on immigration or on other economic justice issues. You see this as a singular issue, and the context of it is unique and apart from those other issues?
Yeah, or even racism,
Or even racism.
That now, but I mean, we're horrified when we look back 60, 70 years ago that there was a time when lynchings were acceptable in some parts of the country, among some people. That's just horrifying to us. But it's the same thing, right? It's the killing of innocent human life. No one would tolerate that nowadays. So I'm trying to see how those of us who understand are trying to open the eyes of our people that this is the direct taking of an innocent human life. And what we envision is a society in which that is unacceptable, and no one would ever dream of doing it.
Well, Nancy Pelosi has said that she's a devout Catholic, and it is, her faith is important to her, an important part of her life. How do you see that statement where she says she's a devout Catholic and she's an open supporter of abortion rights? How does that play in your assessment of her faith? Is she still Catholic?
I cannot judge her conscience. I cannot judge her faith. For my interactions with her, I think she's sincere when she says that. I think her faith really is important to her. It really is important to her to be Catholic, and she feels devotion in her heart. Which makes me perplexed at why she would be so forceful on this issue. as a politician, it's very tricky as a politician. There's so many issues to balance out and trying to come to some kind of consensus and compromise and all that. But to be so aggressively promoting it, and that's not what a devout Catholic does. So I believe in her heart she feels that way, but there is a disconnect on this issue.
What's it say? Can't see. You got numbers. But devout as
Did I show everyone my bills? What did I do? I don't have the phone number. Who's Sabina?
only here, folks. You're gonna find the stuff that you don't see on regular news. We're gonna go deep. We're gonna spend time, and we're gonna find clips that you don't see anywhere else. But the Archbishop was saying that he had called her, he had spoken to her, he was talking to her, and he was trying. There was a letter that went out from the Pope, Pope Benedict, and it said that when you have this issue, you have to, especially in America, you have to be able to talk to these politicians, and the goal is to not kill innocent lives. But I thought that his analogy of the lynchings was a great analogy. But they want to go and they want to make abortion the cure for irresponsibility, rather than the 90,000 different ways that you
Adoption.
You cannot be pregnant.
You know what? And people say, "Oh, but then I won't be able to live with my life if I put my kid up for adoption." Well, you're killing it.
Yeah, you're killing. How do you live with yourself?
So there you go. Go 9 months, have the baby, give it up for adoption, give it a good life.
Yeah, and Texas is now, and I've long advocated for this. Texas is now putting money into alternatives, into information about adoption, and making it easier to adopt a child so that they can reduce the number of abortions. Margie Master Marino is with us, and she says there needs to be more talk about protection. So we are talking less about abortion. I agree. Lorraine Pauley's with us, and she says yes. And she says Pelosi's evil. I don't disagree in the least. So I think that I was glad to hear from him. So I understood where he was coming from, because I thought the same thing. Why now? Because of the Roe v. Wade. Why now? He sends the letter. I thought it was kind of a gimmick, but he had a good take on it. So is it a coincidence that the baby formula shortage is occurring during the abortion debate? That Florida Rep. Kate Kamek uncovered the Biden administration closed down a baby formula manufacturer and didn't make arrangements for more formula production.
Well, what about, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no. Go ahead.
Did you cover it, since I did not read anything that was going on in the show today? I'm new to it, as you guys are. Are you mentioning the border with the formula?
Absolutely. And in the meanwhile, while parents are searching for formula, the Biden administration is stockpiling formula at the border to feed the infants being illegally transported into the country. This is Rep. Kat Kamek, and she has taken a lot of heat for these interviews.
And it was earlier in the week I'd received a text message from several different border agents sending me pictures and videos of stocked warehouses, pallets of baby formula. These agents themselves have families, and they have family members that can't get this baby formula in the stores in Texas and Arizona, New Mexico, yet they go to work and they're unloading pallets of baby food out of the back of tractor trailers.
How did the government get their hands on all of this formula when our moms here in America that are here legally can't get their hands on it?
This has been in the works for months. See, back in November of last year, Biden's FDA shut down one of our nation's largest manufacturers of baby formula. But they did so without a plan to backfill the 43% that this manufacturer makes up in the marketplace share.
So think about that. About 40%, we're down about 40% in formula. Charles Xavier, and he shut down the manufacturer.
But he's putting it on the border, to the borders. It's ridiculous.
And he's inviting people to come to the border.
Yeah.
It's not as if, you know, listen, conspiracy theorist Leticia Remauro, I always said I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Guess what, folks? I am now becoming a conspiracy theorist.
Go
I
crazy lady.
I gotta go. Jennifer has her great little toy. I don't have mine. I left them in New York. But I mean, think about this. So we want to kill babies, and if we can't kill them with abortion, we're going to kill them by not having enough formula. Maybe I've lost my mind. Maybe I have. Maybe
Been down south too long.
I am not down south too long. Let me tell you, from the free state of South Carolina, I am transmitting tonight, and I am happier than I have been in ages. I mean, now you guys have Monkey Pox, which we're going to cover in a little while.
We can tell by the targets behind you.
Yeah, target behind that was my last target practice. We have guns, we have opinions, we get to speak them, and nobody is canceling us out in South Carolina. I tell everybody, New York, I don't think that there's an opportunity to save it. I was actually talking to an old friend today who is a spin doctor in New York, one of the most famous spin doctors. I'm not going to say who. And we talked about what was going on today. And he said it is absolutely unmanageable. This guy served every mayor and he serves everybody. And he said to me, stay where you are, because this place is crazy, and it is crazy. So is it a coincidence, Jen? I mean, all of a sudden we can't feed our babies. I mean, babies have died, but parents not being able to get the formula that they need.
I know.
It's nuts. It's nuts. But the positive thing about being down south is we have some elections going on down here. I can't vote in them because I'm not a resident, and I would never try and vote in an election in a state that I don't live in. I got my absentee ballots for New York, which will never be counted. But here's the good news. The good news is that in Georgia, in South Carolina, in Florida, there are people challenging the incumbents Republicans who have shown themselves to not be true Republicans. And one of them in Georgia right now is Charlie Chase, and he's running right now. And the polls, I think, closing in about 8 minutes. We're going to find out if he won. And here, running for Congress in this, covering the area that I have my vacation home, is a guy called Fry, and he's challenging the incumbent Rice. And Rice, Rice voted to impeach Trump, and Fry is endorsed by Trump. And the slogan is, we're going to fry some rice on election day, and that election is in June. So I'm really excited about that. Let's see. Lorraine said, and the ones getting it at the border of getting it for free.
Of course they're getting everything for free.
Well, they're getting it for free, but it costs us.
Yeah.
Talked about IV contrast shortage too. Oh yes. So Jamie Ann is on, and I'm going to talk about this right now. So there's shortages all over the place. So I'm going to
saline. There's no saline.
No, it's not. It's the dye for MRIs.
No, there's also no saline. There's no there's no of the medical stuff that we need in the aesthetics world. It's all gone. There's
okay. So you know that.
Till March 2024.
So it's crazy that our medical necessities are not being met. There are people who have aneurysms who need to go for MRIs with contrast, and they can't schedule them because they don't have contrast. And Jamie's mom needs to have such a procedure, and she can't get it. And we've reported it to Congress. We've reported it to the news networks, but I haven't heard anything. Have you?
If they can't kill us by making us get a vaccine, this is their alternative.
Well, now they want you to take the monkey vax.
Yeah. Meanwhile, they still haven't. Did they confirm it yet? The other day, they made a big hysteria that it was here, And the news was like, that we have another case, well, and then he's in front of the hospital 2 minutes later saying it's not yet confirmed.
Okay.
So why the hell are you? And then, oh, we got 16 million more vaccines for it. Oh, okay, good.
All right, I'm going to skip ahead to a clip that I was going to play later, but since we're talking about it, the CDC just put out an announcement that the monkey pox is targeting gay and lesbians. Watch this.
The CDC issuing a new warning now about monkeypox. All Americans, of course, can get the virus, but they're saying right now that the LGBTQ plus community should be especially cautious at the moment ahead of the Pride festivities coming next month. The CDC is reporting many of the cases so far are among gay and bisexual men, though the disease can be passed to anyone. There's 1 confirmed case of monkeypox so far in the United States and 6 presumed cases.
So the fear is real. So now they're targeting the LGBTQ community. This is the same CDC that when AIDS, was on the forefront, they screwed the whole thing up, and so many people died of AIDS that didn't need to. So think about that. So that's the monkeypox.
Well, monkeypox is a skin-on-skin virus, I thought.
According to the CDC,
it's more sexually transmitted, but skin-on-skin, kind of.
If you have monkeypox, the only way you can get it is if somebody is broken out in the rash and you are in contact with them, skin-on-skin contact. You don't get it during gestation. You don't get it, you have it for 2 weeks of gestation, but you won't get it unless you're actually touching or caring for the rash that comes up. And apparently the monkeypox has been around for a long time, long enough that there's a vaccine for it. So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen.
You won't be able to go eat without your monkeypox vaccine.
Yeah, soon we will not be able to go out without monkeypox vaccine. So, listen, people are fed up. I'm fed up. You're fed up. Everybody's fed up about all this that's going on in the world. And you might want to just return to normal. Well, here's good news for you. The Trump factor. The libs like to blame everything bad that's happening on Trump. But as I was saying before, today is election day in Georgia. And Trump has been endorsing candidates, anti-establishment candidates around the country. And guess what? They're winning. I'm going to play a little clip about how the Trump factor is factoring into our elections.
President Trump, after he endorsed me, continued to lead into this race in Pennsylvania. He knows all the subtleties of it. He was willing to participate with teletown halls, which he advised that I do, was a brilliant idea.
Meanwhile, Trump-backed State Senator Doug Mastriano won the Republican nomination for governor of Pennsylvania. The anti-establishment candidate who believes the 2020 election was stolen is polarizing Democrats and some Republicans. According to a Fox News tally, in primary races since 2020, Trump-endorsed candidates have won 65 times and have lost just 3 races.
Well, a Trump-backed candidate beat my ass too, but I'm not crying because you know what? If it wasn't me, I'm glad it was Vito, and we definitely beat the anti-establishment candidate. Mm-hmm. So Trump is actually factoring in, and these anti-establishment candidates are winning, which means that the average American is having their voice heard, and I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jen, can you check your Facebook and make sure that it's public and not private, because we're pretty down low. Jamie Ann says, haha, I was going to say that, Leticia. Yep, Jamie Ann, yeah, anytime. Comments are welcome. As you know, this show
private
is all, yeah, you got to fix it, Jen. Yeah, I thought our numbers looked a little bit in the.
That's the reason.
Why, you don't think it's the, what, you think it's the production quality? Or?
Well, now that we fired our production team.
Well, Bug left us.
He was embarrassed to put his name behind.
He's embarrassed by the show. So Bug, our production team, left. You ladies look amazing. Thanks, Gloria Johnson. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anybody that says I look amazing is gets bells if I had one. Ding, 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 ding. I left mine in Staten Island. I was with you to the end and still am.
Yes,
Wow,
she was.
that's true. Jamie Ann was one of our OGs, but nobody is a bigger OG than Lucille. Lucille and my mom were. Oh, and look at, I said her name, and there.
I think she meant on your campaign.
Oh, well, Jamie's been with us.
I was like, what do you mean?
No,
there's no one better than Jamie.
Jamie's been around, even before when it was me and George, and it was called Ask the Expert.
No, she means your campaign for borough president.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I
get it. I get it.
I think
How
many White Claws have you had?
2.
Oh my
God. Listen, now that I have no responsibility except for the dogs, I can actually drink. So anyway, Trump-backed candidates are winning. I wasn't a Trump-backed candidate, although he should have backed me. How'd that come up there again?
I did. Oh, you did.
I did it already. But Mehmet Oz, who is winning, is a Trump-backed candidate in Pennsylvania and was winning. Jennifer, take that down. Here's why we still don't know who is going to be the Republican candidate for Senate in Pennsylvania. Guess what's going on in Pennsylvania? Jen, guess. Guess. They can't count the ballots because they can't figure it out.
I was going to say incest.
Brett, tonight, Dr. Mehmet Oz holds a razor-thin lead over former hedge fund CEO Dave McCormick. At this hour, just 2,000 votes separate the two, with some 105,000 mail-in ballots still uncounted this afternoon. Across Pennsylvania, counting continues amid delays and hiccups. In Lancaster County, a printing error affected 22,000 ballots, forcing poll workers to mark each ballot by hand. And in Allegheny County, 31 precincts experienced memory stick failures at voting machines, delaying results until next week. If the final margin of victory is half a percentage point or less, an automatic recount will be triggered. The recount must start by May 26th and end by June 7th.
So they're starting with the issues now so that when they get their candidate and all of this happens, it won't be questioned.
There you go. So, and now there's a big lawsuit going on. And actually, the national GOP has gotten involved because the challenger, Oz's challenger, I forget his name, the hedge fund guy. What's that?
McCormick, the guy running against McCormick.
Yes, McCormick, right. He filed a lawsuit and he wants to stop the counting of certain ballots. And Oz is saying, no, those ballots need to be counted. So the national GOP, and I really respect them for that, said every ballot needs to be counted. And I agree with that. Every legitimate ballot should always be counted. So let's see what happens with Dr. Oz. Grandma's been here since the show started. There we go. But we didn't know that because Jennifer's Facebook was private. Lorraine Polly, I agree with you, Lorraine. Trump should have backed me 100% because I work very hard. I agree with that. But you know what? Name recognition. He was Vito's friend. I'm not going to say, Vito knew him better than I did. So I'm not going to make any excuses. And it's fine. I am now semi-retired and I have this great show with my beautiful daughter. I'm so much happier than having to, fight for borough president. But I still love my people in Staten Island and I wish I could do more, but that's not going to happen.
I'll just stay here and pay double the rent.
Well, listen, I would help any way I can. Is all the borough president has to do is pick up the phone, call me, say I need help. I'm there. There for no pay, no problem. I'm there. I fight by his side. I know him a long time. All right, so we talked about Trump's endorsement, and in Georgia tonight, he endorsed the opponent of Brian Kemp. And we all remember that Brian Kemp was the one who recorded his conversation when he said, listen, what's going on with the ballots, blah, 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 made him look like a big asshole. Well, guess who endorsed Brian Kemp? And I know you don't know, Jen, because you haven't watched the news today. So guess who endorsed him?
Trump. No, I don't know who.
All right, Trump endorsed the opponent. Who do you think endorsed
Trump? Biden? I don't know. Who?
How about the traitor Mike Pence?
Oh, yeah, we're talking about Republicans. Never mind. Sorry.
Watch this.
I am here to support Brian Kemp in tomorrow's Republican primary. I can honestly say I was for Brian Kemp before it was cool. When you say yes to Governor Brian Kemp tomorrow, you will send a deafening message all across America that the Republican Party is the party of the future.
Did it surprise you that the former vice president has essentially extended that 10-foot pole and said, look, I'm for Kemp even before it was cool?
No, I'm not surprised at Mike Pence's engagement here because in a lot of ways, what Brian Kemp is doing in Georgia is blazing the trail that Mike Pence himself wants to go down in 2024. You have two politicians here that, at least in some ways, owe their national political prominence to Donald Trump. You know, Kemp came to power during the Trump years and was endorsed by Donald Trump. Pence obviously joined the Trump ticket. But both of them broke with Donald Trump after the 2020 election. So if Brian Kemp can pull this off in Georgia and be authentic and be conservative and be that kind of a Republican and win a primary and then beat the Stacey Abrams team in November, that is exactly the argument Mike Pence is going to try to make to national Republicans all over the country in 2024. So it makes a lot of sense for Pence to be there. And honestly, if Kemp pulls this off, that's exactly the blueprint that people like Mike Pence are going to need to follow if they want to challenge Trump in the next presidential election.
Yeah. So he's laying out the groundwork to run against Trump.
Yep. I don't like Pence. I just like him. I always have.
I think he showed himself to be a traitor. Gloria says, thanks again for getting my tree trimmed. I tried for 5 years and did it. And I did it in one day. Thank you, Gloria. Yes, I did. I still have friends in high places. What do you think about what happened to Cawthorn? Yeah, that was, that's Jamie Ann asking that question. And oh, by the way, I think that the Georgia election results might be coming in, so I can't look them up while we're on the air, but maybe somebody can and let us know whether or not Pence
already. It's 7:30.
Yeah, Georgia is early. I think Georgia's 7:30 that the election polls close. Cawthorn was interesting. I think that Cawthorn's problem always was that he was young. And he was a great candidate, but I think he was a little young. I'm not sure exactly why he got bounced, but he did get bounced. It was sad because I thought that, he was serving from the heart. But Jamie, I'm not sure exactly why the voters decided to go with somebody else instead of Cawthorn. Yeah, you remember Cawthorn, Jen. He was in a wheelchair. He was
yes.
And he walked at the convention. He actually stood and
he was he was an ex-Marine, right? No.
Yeah, I can't remember how he lost.
I'm thinking of the one with the eye patch.
Yeah. No, he's something. He's Texas Texas congressman. All right, so couple weeks ago, we talked about Nina Jankowicz. Wait, how do you say her name? Jankowicz, who was the disinformation czar, the truth guru, and she was going to be monitoring all of our information. Well, guess what happened, Jen?
She got fired.
Well, she says she resigned, but they decided to dismember the Office of Disinformation.
She disinformed us.
Yeah, the Disinformation Governance Board. She was the chairman, and that was Department of Homeland Security. You know, the guys that can't keep the people out from the border. They also wanted to make sure that they monitored what was truth and what was fiction. Well, anyway, she says she resigned, and she says she resigned because of Republican. Let's see, a Republican coordinated campaign against her, and she didn't like the way the administration responded to it. So let's have a listen, because now she's spinning her resignation. Let's have a listen.
Nina Jankowicz, the head of the Disinformation Governance Board at the Department of Homeland Security, has resigned. This comes after Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas paused the program just 3 weeks after it was announced, amid criticism from Republicans. Do you think the Disinformation Board was the victim of, in fact, misinformation, given the backlash it saw?
Actually, Jamie, I would say that the Disinformation Governance Board was the victim of disinformation. So the difference between dis and misinformation is disinformation is false information spread with malign intent. And clearly there was a malign intent on some actors in the media and in politics who just really stood up to the formation of this board because it would be confronting disinformation. They completely mischaracterized its mission. And frankly, this childish behavior is endangering our national security now. It was less about the threats and more about the department's response to this disinformation campaign and the threats against me that caused me to step down. The board is now, its future is now uncertain. And again, I believe these are really, really important threats that deserve to be looked at very seriously. And I believe I can do that outside of government. I'm not going to be silenced by my critics. And I hope that the department will go forward with this important work because it is critical. As I said, it has to do with the safety and security of all Americans. Things like making sure that people have access to disaster aid, making sure that they have good information about when and how to cast their vote in democratic elections.
You know, I have to ask you, a number of people in the Republican Party came after you for some tweets from the past, saying that they were too political. What do you have to say about that?
You know, I don't think that my political convictions really come into play here. And as I said, I checked them at the door. I was fighting for those First Amendment rights. And I think it's quite ironic that Republicans would decontextualize a couple of tweets in a career that has been marked by reasonableness, nuance, and bipartisan.
How to cast your votes with Democrats. Get a fake ID, go to multiple voter polling sites, and vote. She has such an annoying face, by the way. Like her name should be Karen. I cannot even look at her.
Well, then you're going to love this next one. She says she checked her politics at the door. But let me just show you one of the videos she put on TikTok.
Information laundering is really quite ferocious. It's when a huckster takes some lies and makes them sound precocious by saying them in Congress or a mainstream outlet. So disinformation's origins are slightly less atrocious. It's how you hide a little lie, little lie. It's how you hide a little lie, little lie. It's how you hide a little lie, little lie. When Rudy Giuliani shared that intel from Ukraine, or when TikTok influencers say COVID can cause pain, they're laundering disinfo, and we really should take note and not support their lies with our wallet, voice, or vote. Oh.
I've never wanted to punch someone in the face more than I want to punch her. That made me want to puke.
Well, now that she's unemployed, she can get a job on Broadway. I mean, she got a nice voice. She can play Mary Poppins. Yeah, so she calls out Rudy Giuliani, but she, with a straight face, says she checked her politics at the door. Yeah. So nobody should have feared Nina Jankowicz being the truth czar. Get the F out of here.
She wrote a whole song. Oh my God, please don't ever talk about her again.
I can't.
I'm going to go follow her from my TikTok. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah. You do. You need to follow her. You need to stalk her. You need to, you know what? She claimed that she got death threats and that she's going to stand up to the threats and she's not going to let anybody cancel her. So the one who wants to cancel is not going to let anybody cancel her. Well, I encourage her to continue in the vein that she was continuing.
All right, Karen Janskowitz.
Nina Jankowicz. Everybody
Karen,
remember
her name's Karen.
Oh, Karen Jankowicz. Okay, got it. Herschel Walker, 72% of the votes. Gary Black, 13. Herschel was endorsed by President Trump. All right, Lorraine. I worry about the Kemp thing. I really do. I don't know if he's going to pull it out or
Kemp,
not.
71%.
Yeah, Kemp, 71%. Yeah. Ugh. That pisses me off. Well, you know what? You can't get them all. Okay, so we only have a couple more clips left. So Jankowicz, disinformation czar. Too bad we didn't have a disinformation. What is it called? Disinformation Governance Board in 2016. Because right now, Michael Sussman, who was the attorney for Hillary Clinton, is on trial. And why is he on trial? Was because he was able to access FBI and other government agencies because he was working for the 2016 Hillary Clinton campaign. But he claimed that he was a private citizen during that time and not working for Hillary Clinton. So he's on trial right now. And that's the question. But what's coming out from the trial is all of the bullshit that Hillary Clinton put out there about Donald Trump and Russia, the Russiagate. And here's just a couple of snippets from the things that we learned from Hillary's campaign. Hold on, before I go to that, I want breaking news. Wait, hold on. Breaking news: Texas school shooting, 18 children, 3 adults dead.
It was 14, earlier.
Yeah, that's horrible. It's absolutely horrible.
I don't even get why you have to kill all of these people before you. Well, the cops killed him, but
because people are high on fentanyl, on heroin. It is not guns, ladies and gentlemen. It is not guns. And
when
every
they
time
outlaw guns, the only people who will have guns are outlaws. Remember that. Because that's the fact. These people don't go to register for a gun. Some of these people, yes, where they live, they're legal. Listen, it is very, very easily accessible to get ammunition and guns down south. I'm sorry. It's a little too loose not to have any. You don't need a license.
No, you don't. But how often do you hear that there are the mass shootings down here? When was the last time you heard of
I'm not saying in South Carolina, but Texas has the same kind of laws. It is a little loose. When we were down there, we got to buy a ton of stuff that we could have gotten arrested driving over the New York State, the border coming over here, the state line, but they didn't ask for a license. That is a little bit, to me, I do not believe in that. I think everyone should be able to carry a gun, but I think that if you want a gun, they need to do a background check, but they can't take the guns off the streets. That's where they're getting most of them. 90% of these shootings and everything are coming from illegal guns. So,
well, Lorraine says it best. Guns don't kill people. People kill people.
Yep. Well, they should make bullets like Chris Rock said. Make a bullet $1,000.
But that's bull, because Americans have the right.
It was a joke. It was his routine. It was a joke.
Americans have the right to carry firearms.
You do.
There should be no limitations on it. What we need to do is we need to stop the revolving door around of people being let go after they commit a crime against society. The people that are doing these mass shootings have demonstrated that they are psychologically unstable or that they have a criminal record. And as you said, criminals will always have guns because they don't care what the laws are. Every time you make a gun law, you're taking the gun out of the hands of a law-abiding citizen.
I didn't say take the gun. Well, no, I did not say that. at all. I think that everybody should be able to apply for a gun license and get a gun.
Yeah.
But it's, in some states, it's very easy. It's too easy for kids like this to go get a gun.
Well, yeah, you know what? But they'll always be able to. Jay
All they need
says,
to do is ask for 3, like when you get a job, they ask for references. 3 credible references to get your license.
yeah, and you know what, Jen, and I get it, and it's a big debate, and I'm glad we're having it here because it's like being a little bit pregnant. You can't be a little bit pregnant once you start infringing on your rights, whatever those rights are, the rights that the Constitution gives us. Then you are controlling individual liberty, and that should not be allowed. Once a person demonstrates that they are going to commit a crime against society, that's when they're punished, not before it. Because when you make a bullet $1,000,
No, yeah. Well, obviously, if they didn't do anything before, they're not going to be. What I'm saying is, you can go down south, no license or anything, buy ammo. They don't know if you committed felonies.
But it doesn't matter. That's the whole thing. Is it doesn't matter. Once again, it's like your father gets knee surgery and he gets 3-day supply of painkillers, and he can't get a second 3-day supply of painkillers because kids are accessing painkillers. So why is somebody who's worked his whole life and he has the bad joints to show for it, who's never had a problem with addiction, he now has to jump through hoops to legally get that?
Well, it's the
Same thing with
baby
hydroxychloroquine.
formula. Baby's here, we pay our taxes, we can't feed our kids, but come over the border, here's some free formula, let everyone else die.
And that's it. And I'd rather live in a society where, the Second Amendment says that you can legally own a gun and buy ammunition for that gun, and nobody can check you on it. I would rather live in a society where that is available and free, rather than a society where only law-abiding citizens are going to be have the problem of going through hoops to get the guns legally, and all the criminals get the guns and ammunition illegally. And that's why, in my opinion, these gun regulations are ridiculous. And I'll tell you, when I worked for Governor Pataki, he started with these gun laws. Okay, as you know, we always owned guns, and you had to have the ammunition separate from the gun and locked in this place.
Well, how are you supposed to kill an intruder then?
And I said to him, Governor, thanks to you, I'd be better off throwing the lockbox with my gun in it at the burglar than anything else. So you know what? In New York, I don't have a gun. I have a bow and arrow. And that's what I have. I have a compound bow, because guess what? I'm allowed to own it, and it's silent, so nobody's going to hear me when it comes. But in where guns are free and legal, you bet your ass I'm going to have a gun. I had one since I'm 11 years old. I'll always have one. And anyone who wants a gun should have a gun. Now, if they do something wrong with that gun, they should be prosecuted and thrown in jail. That's my opinion. But Jen, I respect your opinion. I just don't agree.
I think everyone should be able to have a gun, but if you have a criminal background that is violent, then
that's different.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You need to have a severe, deep criminal background check. If you have felonies, I don't mean felonies like white collar felonies, like embezzlement of money. I mean like rape or but they're going to get the guns anyway, so it doesn't really matter because they're not going to apply for a gun. They're going to get over.
That's it. That's what I'm saying.
Guns. The only people that will have guns are outlaws. So
that's it. So why make that? The only people who are going to go through those steps are
I
going to
just
be
think that they should, if you're going to go buy ammo, there should be a thing where they run your license and it can tell you if this person was.
Yeah, they can record it.
I think
so
that
but
they don't ask for it. They don't ask for a license. I think they should. That's it. That's all I'm saying.
No, they can record it and say this person bought ammo. Okay, it's in the record books. If the person does something bad with the ammo, now you go back to the person. I agree with that. I don't mind it, but to say you can't buy ammo if you don't give me, this or that or the other thing, no, I don't agree. Well, anyway, the disinformation czar, we're coming up on, we've got 6 minutes left. And I want to show everybody this because I think it's important, because this trial has uncovered a lot of the stuff that went on in the Clinton campaign.
What's your reaction when you hear that Robbie Mook says, yeah, you know, we took it to Hillary? And she said, absolutely. Even though it's not substantiated, you should get it out there to the press. And Mook said, we just figured it was the press's job to figure out whether or not there was any substance there.
Yeah, I think this is an interesting development because, clearly we know that all of these cats that are out there, they all knew about it. We knew from the very beginning. You mentioned, what did we know at the very beginning? Well, we knew that there was no intelligence that showed that the Russians and Trump or Republicans had anything to do with any of this. So why is this interesting today? It's the fact that Mook would turn over his former boss as the campaign manager, who clearly had to have authorized Fusion GPS, Sussman, Perkins Coie law firm, and then sold it out to the media.
The suggestion was in the public that Hillary started reading these stories too, and then she started tweeting about them, started retweeting these stories that suddenly appeared in the press. So here's one tweet from Hillary Clinton. It's time for Trump to answer serious questions about his ties to Russia. 4 things you need to know about the Trump Organization's secret server to communicate with Russia's Alpha Bank. And then it goes on to sort of delineate what she sees as, very suspicious behavior here. What strikes me is that, Robbie Mook and Hillary Clinton put out, computer scientists have uncovered that there is a link between the Trump server and Alpha Bank, right? And then you go back to this tech executive number 1 who says that he was hired to access information that he had access to in order to find a narrative that would be negative. So the computer scientists that they're talking about, they act like, they're just sort of amazing random researchers who uncovered something. And yet it appears that they were directed by Mark Elias and by Fusion, it appears.
Now, what comes after that is, I think, more interesting, because when these guys go into the CIA and other intelligence agencies, it's after Donald Trump won. And clearly now they have went from kind of a dirty tricks, trying to cover for Hillary Clinton's, destroying of her servers. They then move into this trying to get the FBI to further their investigation and publicize their investigation that led to Mueller, that led to this whole mess, which is a very dark chapter of American history, especially for the dirty cops at the FBI and DOJ that knew about this. The Clintons have always been up to dirty tricks, but the fact that they corrupted our intelligence agencies and the media, who some are sitting in court right now, putting out live reports, they were ones who received this very information and wrote about it, and now they act like, oh my God, I didn't know anything about this.
Listen, if the top people don't allow you to be right, and it can't come out. So they are running the media. It just becomes reality, whether it is or not. You can't get past it unless there's that group of people that really just bust everything down, and you stop, conforming to everything.
Well, and that's what he said, right? Hillary Clinton, it was BS. They knew it was BS. They didn't vet it through. They decided to let it out and let the media decide whether it was true or not. Because once upon a time, that was the media's job, to protect the American people, to be the truth fact checkers, right? Before they regurgitated the information. But on this one, the media didn't do it. And now that it's coming out, and because it was Hillary Clinton and she was a former first lady and she was the Secretary of State, she had access to the FBI. She had access to the CIA. She had once been, she was the Secretary of State, right? So she had access to them. She was able to find those people who were willing to carry her water and to create that disinformation and to lie. And now it's coming out. So I really encourage everybody that's watching us to really follow this Michael Sussman trial. And the thing is, too, that the stuff that's coming out is kind of the byproduct of the trial. The trial is whether or not he was acting as a private citizen. That's the trial, that's what the jury has to decide. So you might wind up with a verdict that we don't like, and we might not have an indictment or a conviction of anybody. But the information coming out in this trial is very, very important, because it happened with Kennedy. It's happened a million times in our history. But so recent, and the fact that they're able to create that, remember that Russiagate, that they tarred and feathered Trump with this bullshit that has followed him along even to now and to today. So it really is important to follow it. Let's see. Gloria, nothing is going to happen to Hunter Biden or Hillary unless we elected.
Anybody else would have been on trial already.
You're absolutely right. Angela Ricca, did anyone participate in the Lee Zeldin call yesterday? Angela, I didn't participate in Zeldin's call yesterday. I had in the past. Lee's a great guy, and his lieutenant governor, we just love her. So yeah, I think that listen, Rob Astorino is a good friend. I love Andrew Giuliani. I wish he would have run against Tish James. But it looks like Lee Zeldin's got the snowball effect, and I think he's going to sail to victory, in the, June primary. I just got my absentee ballot.
State Farm tells us they're a good neighbor, but would
Sorry about that.
Is State Farm looking to sponsor us?
Oh, no.
We have time.
It's more notorious than that. So after State Farm Insurance Company announced that it would partner with the Gender Cool program to provide gender fluidity books to Florida grade school children, nonprofit Consumer Research launched a Creepy Neighbor campaign, making consumers aware of State Farm's intention. Within hours of the release of this commercial, State Farm abandoned the partnership. So, in other words, State Farm had asked all of its employees to contribute money to buy gender fluidity textbooks to be distributed to grade school students in Florida because of DeSantis's bill that passed. And so Consumer Research, and everybody should look them up, they said, no way, and they outed them. Here's their little commercial.
Oh, so you pressed the button by accident.
By accident, sorry.
State Farm tells us they're a good neighbor, but would a good neighbor target 5-year-olds for conversations about sexual identity? That's what State Farm's doing, asking employees to donate guides to being transgender to public schools, books aimed at making kindergartners question their identity. It's textbook indoctrination. These books don't belong in elementary schools, and State Farm shouldn't be putting them there. Like a creepy neighbor, State Farm is there.
Great. If a 5-year-old can cook me dinner, they can tell me what gender they are.
So, if you're wondering why your insurance bill is going up, they're buying textbooks for gender fluidity. All right, so we are officially over as usual. And Angela said she participated with Lee Zeldin. He's great. Lorraine Polly says, yep, I'm guessing that was to State Farm. Everybody, tomorrow, Scott Lebedo is unveiling Old Sparky at City Hall in Manhattan. I suggest everybody get there for 12 noon and show support for Scott. It is his way of fighting back against this leniency on criminals. So you got to see this piece. It's fantastic. So get there. Lorraine says, have a great Memorial weekend. That's right. And there's a parade on Staten Island. Make sure that you go.
Fleet Week starts tomorrow at Irby.
That's
5
right.
days of sailors.
All right. Fleet Week starts. There's so many things
Right
going
outside
on.
my door.
Make sure to vote in your primaries. Make sure that you let your voices be heard. Jen, I'm going to let you finish your move. Everybody have a great night. Out from South Carolina. Jen, last words?
No.
All right. Bye.